on, Clippers fans? Welcome to a random live that we're doing a couple hours before the Clippers play the Warriors, which is going to be a weird game considering none of the important Warriors are going to be playing, to talk about the fact that there is, in fact, a return date for Kawhi Leonard targeted. We absolutely love to see this. Law Murray tweeting out earlier today on Friday, the 27th, there is indeed a target date for Kawhi Leonard, Saturday, January 4th at Intuit Dome when the LA Clippers host the Atlanta Hawks. So we have a definitive date for Kawhi's return, which is awesome. If you missed the last updates, there was a bunch of stuff about Ty Lue talking about how Kawhi needed to stack these 5-on-5s, needed to get more practices under his belt and making good progress still with all that kind of stuff. And we got it. The target date is going to be January 4th. If you're new to the stream, I'm Chuck Mockler. Adam Oslin's usually here, so is Will Updike, but it's just me right now. So this feels great. Clippers fans, maybe we're disappointed that he wasn't going to come back on the game tonight against the Warriors. I still think we're going to be fine. He's also not traveling on the upcoming trip for the Clippers. I had said, I was like, oh, these games after the 27th seem nice for him to return to. It's a 3-4. They're not able to practice on the road, which is why Kawhi is not going on this trip, but he will be here practicing with the not Agua Caliente, with the San Diego Clippers. While the Clippers are on the road trip, he's going to be practicing in the G League, stacking those 5-5s or 5-on-5s. So feels great. The Clippers are going. They're going to be playing the Warriors tonight. Everyone's hurt, which is weird. I think the Clippers are going to be fine tonight. We're going to put this out as an audio stream as well, an episode for the podcast audio people. If you ever want to watch these, they're random because that's what happens with Clippers and return news. You can check us out at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. Alex Webb saying, don't rush back, Claw. I don't think anyone wants to rush him back. I think this is I'm like fine with this timeline, right? Like, I think if they're saying he's good to go and he's stacked the 5-on-5s that we've talked about, I think this makes total sense for Kawhi to come back now. Alex, I'm not saying you were saying he was getting rushed back, but I don't think they've rushed him back. I think they've done a really good job so far with this, just given everything we've seen and heard from Ty Lue. Ilyas, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I apologize if I didn't. Says, how many minutes do you think he would start out with? There's going to be a minutes restriction, as Ty Lue has talked about. I don't know. First of all, I hope he's starting. I hope we keep a starting lineup of James Harden, Norman Powell, Derek Jones Jr., Kawhi Leonard, Ivica Zubac. I personally hope that is what the starting lineup is. I don't think there's going to be a lot of arguments the other way. You could maybe convince me to start Chris Dunn over Norm Powell, but I don't think it's going to happen. Norm started every single game, including the preseason. It just kind of feels like Kawhi is going to slot into that spot. I think it's probably going to be 20? Does 20 make sense? 15 feels low. So I hope it's 20. I think it makes sense. So I do want to add this. We are getting more updates from Law Murray. Again, if you're not following Law, if you're able to, you should, because he's a wonderful beat reporter. Law making it clear the Clippers are still taking Kawhi Leonard status slowly. There's still a lot of developments that could take place, but the time is coming very soon, and this next week is a key step. So the key step part is going to be how the knee responds to the practices, to these full 5-on-5s and all that good stuff. It makes sense they're taking it slowly. That not a surprise, I don't think, to anyone who's been a Clippers fan for a while. So this next week is a key step. It's going to be a very key step. Thank you to Law Murray for providing this. We really appreciate it. So yeah, the next week is step. Yeah, it's I cannot wait to watch Kawhi Leonard play basketball again. Alex Webb saying, if he's good, I'm cool with it. I think that's where everyone's at. If the team has been incredibly cautious, as we know, the medical staff has been cautious with Kawhi throughout the whole kind of time he's been here. Remember that weird old game against Memphis where they took him out at half and no one knew why that was happening. But let's get it right. If there's any time to do it, the Clippers have gotten through easily the hardest part of their schedule. They don't have as many conference games left. I think it's pretty split, actually. I think they have the same amount of conference and non-conference games right now for the team. So it'll be interesting. The Clippers are also not very good in the Western Conference. Just if you look at like the records and everything like that. Oh yeah, Intuit Dome is going to be rocking on that night, which again, theoretically, January 4th, that is the set target date. There are more steps that need to be taken, but the time is coming very soon. This next week, as Law Murray reported, is a key step. We got to hope it goes well. Incredible comment from Renzo, the old head, which I will agree with this. Every year he gets hurt and it gets me mad, but God damn it, every time he's about to return, I always get hyped. Damn you, Kawhi. That's the way she goes. I feel you, Renzo, 100%. Also, my neighbor has started calling me OG, so I think I might be an old head now. It's going to be awesome. The Clippers are in a wonderful place for Kawhi Leonard to return. Terrence Mann's return, which I know some people maybe forgot that Terrence Mann can be a useful player. Terrence's timeline, let me see where it's at, actually. Law had some updates on this as well. Either way, Terrence should be coming back around the same time that Kawhi is coming back, which is fantastic. Just having the full-on rotation is going to be great. Yes, Goku _10. That first elbow jumper, come on, shut it down. It's going to be so great. The rotation is going to be really interesting when Kawhi comes back, because what I just, it's interesting. What happens to backup center? What happens to Kevin Porter Jr.'s role when we have this full roster? Ty Lue's going to want a shorter rotation, not a larger rotation. I still think KPJ is going to be the backup guard. I think the bench is going to be, man, because it's so hard, right? Because it's like Bamba's not been that good. Second shift Bamba is great. And this does show why having Derrick Jones Jr. as a pickup was great. Missing Derrick Jones Jr. over those last couple of games was tough. He had that great return game when he came back. So, no, it's huge. Derrick Jones Jr. and Kawhi, the 3-4-5 of Kawhi, Derrick Jones, however that checks out, and Ivica Zubac is an incredible 3-4-5 to have for this Clippers team when you have, you're starting two guards who can make things happen offensively, one of them being the system in James Harden, and one of them having their best year of all time from outside and from mid-range in Norm Powell. It's going to be awesome. There is going to be, I'm sure there's going to be some consternation when it comes to who's going to get the time and stuff like that. But we got to remember, Ty Lue's going to want a shorter rotation. I don't know who gets pushed out. We don't really have anyone else who can run backup point guard. So, again, I think the bench, KPJ, Terrence, Nico, and Amir, that's the 9 guys. You throw Bamba in, there's your 10. I think we'll see that for a while. And then Derek, and then Chris Dunn, right? So, like, does Chris Dunn become the default backup point guard now? I don't know. There's a lot of questions that Ty Lue is going to have to figure out with this rotation. Thankfully, the nice thing is the Clippers have been playing great, right? Like, the Clippers, when Kawhi does return, let's just say things stay normal. Let's say all these stats as of Friday, December 27th. They got a handful of games coming up in between there. So there's still going to be a top 10, top 5 defense. The offense is still going to be not very good, but I don't think that wasn't a big surprise to people. Jimmy G, I agree. I hope we get some more coffee minutes, but it depends on how guys are playing. I don't think he will lose a bunch of minutes, right? Because Ty Lue's talked about with Derek Jones Jr. out and Kawhi out, they were going to start either one of these guys. So I don't think their minutes are going to be lost. Again, the discussion of the Clippers needing a power forward is going to be at 10 when Kawhi comes back and there's maybe one bad game. So we're going to see what happens with all that stuff. But those are good problems to have, right? This is a team that has committed to defense, has committed to playing, this like high energy, do the little annoying things basketball. And they're at a perfect point for Kawhi Leonard to come back into this rotation. I'm sipping on a festive beverage because we got a Kawhi return date. Let's look at those games also that he's potentially coming back for. So the Clippers play on January 4th at home. Then they're away the 6th and the 8th versus the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. Kawhi's first back-to-back that he would have to deal with if he comes back on the 4th is January 15th and January 16th. Clippers play the Nets at home on the 15th, and then they're away to the Blazers. I would assume Kawhi sits one of those out. I personally don't want him playing any back-to-backs. The Clippers have an Eastern Conference back-to-back on the 21st and the 22nd against the Bulls and the Celtics. Sit him out of either. I could care less about Kawhi Leonard going against the Bulls. Lizo asking, is Jordan Miller cooked now? Yeah, probably. I like Jordan Miller. He's got potential, but with the way the Clippers are playing right now and the rotation getting smaller, the numbers just don't add up for Jordan Miller to have any minutes. I don't know, which isn't great for those of us who like Jordan Miller, but also there's no time for him. The Clippers have played better than I think a fair amount of people, myself included, thought they would be with Kawhi. If someone were to say Kawhi's returning on January 4th, but the Clips are going to be 17-13 and have a top 10 defense, I'd say, well, shit, okay, life is pretty good then. But I think for Jordan Miller, things are probably, it's going to be garbage time minutes. It's going to be stuff like that. Unless you've shown some big stuff in practice, but this is a team that it's just not, there's no room. Like, with how they're playing now, this isn't a punt it year. The Clippers don't have a pick. The only thing the Clippers have motivation to do is continue to win. And looking at the strength of schedule, let's look at the strength of schedule for the rest of the season. So the remaining strength of schedule per tankathon, the Clippers have the 18th easiest, hardest schedule from here on out. Their strength of schedule is 500, is the composite winning percentage. So they're right in the middle. They got to play the Cavs twice, the Thunder twice, the Celtics once, the Rockets once, the Grizzlies twice, and the Knicks twice. But they get 3 games against the Pels, 2 games against the Hornets, 2 games against the Jazz. It's an up and down kind of schedule for the Clippers the rest of the way. But the West is tight as hell. The Kings are, I'm going to say, done. We don't have to worry about the Clippers slipping down to 12th. Also, Mike Brown being fired is crazy. Did not deserve it, I don't think. If you're looking at a top 3 seed, I don't think they're not catching the Thunder. Sorry. Rockets they're 4 games out of the Rockets, and they're 3.5 games out of where the Mavericks are. Oh, the man himself, Adam Osland. How are you doing, fella? Got to be doing great now that we have a target date, right?
A target date. I mean, I think it's the date everybody assumed. If it wasn't going to be the 27th, the next date would be the 4th when they're back at Intuit Dome, since he's not traveling on this road trip. Still got to make sure that there's no setbacks between now and then. But outside of that, sounds like Kawhi Leonard will be back against the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I liked what Law Murray said and that the follow-up tweet. He said, this is a big week, right? He's going to be practicing with San Diego. I'm assuming they're doing 5-on-5s. Lord help whatever San Diego Clippers player has to guard Kawhi Leonard in these upcoming practices. But I like that. This step is a big week for him coming back. And it makes sense. They got to be cautious.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're just emphasizing more 5-on-5, more workouts, more practice time. Clippers are 17-13. They have a great chance to be 18-13 after tonight. Like, the commercial comes out earlier today. Everything's pointing in the right direction, but it still is about his knee holding up and not swelling up between now and then. So that's the only concern. But everything right now feels good here. I'm at Intuit Dome. People are talking about it. Got really loud now.
They got to practice.
All right. I guess that's my cue. Love you, Chuck.
Have a good game. Love you too, buddy. We've heard from Adam Oslin. People are excited. Adam got a new haircut. This feels good. The Clippers, again, not the easiest schedule, not the hardest schedule remaining, but most of their difficult games, I take that back. Well, 4 of their hardest games remaining are against conference opponents. 5 of them. Okay, that's going to be tough. Thank God we only play the Rockets one more time. But the Clippers have a path. And I don't know if they're watching, but I think it was Junction. If you listen to this later or watch this later, we said if the Clippers were a top 3 seed, you could come on the pod. They have a chance to be a top 3 seed. They are 2.5 games. 3.5 games out of a top 3 seeding. The Grizzlies or the Mavs just lost Luka. Like, there's a path for it to happen for the Clippers. I know this episode's coming out like an hour before the Warriors game. Very weird roster coming up for both teams for this Warriors game. Kevin Porter Jr. is sick, which sucks. Seems like running is through the team right now. We'll see what happens tonight. Here's to Kawhi Leonard having a good week. That's the important thing to remember. Big week of practice down in San Diego. Teams traveling. Let's hope they clean up on that road trip. And then the target date is January 4th versus the Atlanta Hawks. If you have tickets, maybe sell them. If you want tickets, maybe buy them. Thank you all for hanging out. It was just a quick little stream. Happy Adam got to be here. We're going to have a full episode with the full crew coming up tomorrow night at some point. Someone just logged on saying, good evening, what's going on? Kawhi Leonard has a target date, everybody. January 4th. Should be a good-ass time. We should be at that game. We'll be at that game. If you're at the Intuit Dome, say what's up. Here's to the Clippers getting a dub over a short-handed Warriors team tonight. Here's to Kawhi Leonard having a good week of practice and progress. And here's to the Clippers making some noise and maybe being a top 3 seed. Maybe we'll have the guest host on if that happens. Thank you all for hanging out. Clips and Dip is going to come at you with a full episode with the full crew, myself, Adam Oslin, and William Updike tomorrow night. Yeah, rewatch the stream if you want the news, but Kawhi Leonard has a target date with some progress that has to happen for January 4th against the Hawks, and the Clippers will be the most annoying team to play in the entire NBA. Have a good rest of your evening. Here's to a great new year.